second. For some reason, my model is not showing up. Huh. Weird. I think I'm gonna have to close it and open it up again. I had some technical issues. That's why I'm so late. Originally, I was just going to be an hour late because I wanted to lay down for a little bit. And then it turned into an hour and 30 minutes late because my graphics drivers were not, my graphics driver was not updated correctly. I had to reinstall the NVIDIA app to get it to work. And now, Ardo seems to not be working. So I need to close it. Trying to restart it. I'm having trouble restarting it. It doesn't seem to want to. It just keeps reloading. Okay, finally. I can restart it now. It was working earlier. I don't know what's going on now. Maybe it's because I upgraded the graphics driver. Wow, it opened up really fast. Okay, there it is now. Everything working? Yes! Okay, now we can start our session. Okay, I'm gonna be doing the 80 words per minute class number 5. And then I'll be doing 100 words per minute class number 28. And then I might try the 120 words per minute class. It depends on how I'm feeling. Browser. Okay.
Hello, welcome to the 80 drill class. I'm going to start off with a word exercise drill. These are very basic words. Hello, welcome to the 80 drill class. I'm going to start off with a word exercise drill. These are very basic words, and just focus on your accuracy. Ready? Wrap. Just focus on your eyes drill. These are very basic words, and just focus on your accuracy. Ready? Wrap, rat, rag, rob.
Wait, what?
Just focus on your accuracy. Ready? Wrap, rat, rag, rob, rot, rod, red, rub, rug, rut, hat, hop, hog, hot, hug, hut, war, wet, pal, pat, pop, pod, pot, pet, pep, pole, purr, car, cap, cab, cat, cop, keg, cuff, cur, cup, cut, tar, tap, tag, tab, top, tub, tug. Okay, we'll stop there. I'm going to give you a consonant compound drill. This focuses on final BS, final RN, and final RL. Okay, ready? Drill. This focuses on final BS, final RN, and final RL. Okay, ready? The tabs are paid at the pubs. The labs are near the clubs. The cab's hubs were stolen. The bibs belong to Mr. Tibbs. She-fibs were stolen. The bibs belong to Mr. Tibbs. The bibs belong to Mr. Tibbs. She fibs about her jobs. The mobs broke the watch fobs. The barn will burn if the lantern is lit. Please turn the torn sheet over. Did you learn the name of the fern from Laverne? He was born in the morn. The sheep were shorn in a pattern. The tern laid eggs in the corn.
What?
Sheep were shorn in a pattern. The tern laid eggs in the corn. The apparel belongs to the girl. Carl painted a mural. Meryl put a spiral curl in her hair. Carl painted a mural. Meryl put a spiral curl in her hair. Did Mac hurl the pearl at Lynn or at Shirl? Did Burl whirl the girl? The at Lynn or at Shirl? Did Burl whirl the girl? The coral was found in the laurel. The coral was found in the laurel near the barrel. Okay, I have a number drill for you.
What the hell? Some of these words, I'm not sure are words. The tern laid eggs in the corn?
The pearl put a spiral curl in her hair. Painted a girl. Tern laid in a pattern. The tern laid eggs in the corn.
Let me hide that. I don't think that's apparel spelled right. Yeah, it's 2 P's and 1 R. Is it maybe laurel? I have no clue. This is barrel though. This was an odd drill.
Put a spiral curl in the barrel. Okay, I have a number drill for you. These are locations with numbers. Okay, here we go. Ready? Alabama, 25,022. With numbers. Okay, here we go. Ready? Alabama, 25,022. Alaska, 2,100. Alabama, 25,022. Alaska, 2,153. Arizona, 1,318. California, 35,129. Florida, 3,103. Connecticut, 12,326. Georgia.
How do I spell Connecticut? I'm spelling it wrong. ton. I thought it was that.
126. 103. Connecticut, 12,326. Georgia, 7,118. Massachusetts, 5,000. Connecticut, 12,326. Georgia, 7,118. Massachusetts, 5,792. Idaho, 6,227. 92. Idaho, 6,227. Arkansas, 9,894. 9,007. 6,227. Arkansas, 9,894. Pennsylvania, 9,852. Illinois, 8,931. Colorado, 14,720. Rhode Island, 4,431. Colorado,
That was close.
14,720. Rhode Island, 4,417. Hawaii, 189. South Carolina, 1,810. Indiana, 8,411. And the last one is Delaware, 9,225. 1,225. Okay, I have a brief review for you. I'm going to give you these basic briefs, and then I will give you sentences that emphasize those briefs. Okay, you're going to hear credit. Okay, I have a brief review for you. I'm going to give you these basic briefs, and then I will give you sentences that emphasize those briefs. Okay, you're going to hear credit, many, emphasize those briefs. Okay, briefs, and then I will give you sentences that emphasize those briefs. Okay, you're going to hear credit, many, until, account, this, can. Okay, here we go. Ready? Credit this to the account. Many of us voted for this. Do many of you have accounts here? This account is closed. The accountant posted the amount to this account. This is certainly to his credit. Pay off the creditors. We will hold this until Friday. Can this be credited to my account? This company can maintain 2 accounts. Can we wait until November? There are many problems in this accounting system. Who is your accountant? The accountants recommend waiting until fall. Can we credit the funds to her account? This would seem to be the best plan until next week. Thomas is a credit to the school. Have many of you read the new plan? Many of the accounts need to have the credits reviewed. So hopefully you phrased all of the basic phrases such as to the, off the, we will, basic reviewed. So hopefully you phrased all of the basic phrases such as to the, off the, we will, this is, this be, who is, all of the basic phrases such as to the, off the, we will, this is, this be, who is, there are, to be, is a, have many, to have. Those were all phrases that I saw in those sentences that you can phrase. And I really recommend all phrases that I saw in those sentences that you can phrase. And I really recommend that you do that whenever possible. It saves a stroke. Okay? I know really those were all phrases that I saw in those sentences that you can phrase. And I really recommend that you do that whenever possible. It saves a stroke. Okay? I know you've probably learned that theory, so don't forget that. Always implement that. Really, those were all phrases that I saw in those sentences that you can phrase. And I really recommend that you do that whenever possible. It saves a stroke. Okay? I know you've probably learned that theory, so don't forget that. Okay? I know you've probably learned that theory, so don't forget that. Always implement that. If you can phrase something, you do that whenever possible. It saves a stroke. Okay? I know you've probably learned that theory, so don't forget that. Always implement that. If you can phrase something, phrase it. Okay? All right, so we've got about one. I know you've probably learned that theory, so don't forget that. Always implement. I know you've probably learned that theory, so don't forget that. Always implement that. If you can phrase something, phrase it. Okay? All right, so we've got about 1 more minute, and this is a phrase drill that we're on now, so always implement that. If you can phrase something, phrase it. Okay? All right, so we've got about 1 more minute, and this is a phrase drill that we're on now, so you're going to hear can you minute, and this is a phrase drill that we're on now, so you're going to hear can you, now you're phrasing, can he, can I, we can, I can. Going to hear can you, now you're phrasing, can he, can I, we can, I can, you can, she can, he can the, it can. Here are your sentences. Ready? It can be done. Now, in that case, you have the option. You can either phrase it can or sentences. Ready? It can be done. Now, in that case, you have the option. You can either phrase it can or can be. It's up to you. Okay? He can do it. Can he get permission? Or can be. It's up to you. Okay? He can do it. Can he get permission? Can I take some? Can you answer the question? Can he work tomorrow? Can I see again? Can the account be opened? It can be credited to your account. She can keep them until you can use them. He can take a lot of credit. Can the car make the hill? We can come tomorrow. Can he build it? She can sew. All right, that concludes our drill class for the day, for the 80 class. Have a great day.
Have a great day. I think I can paste this as is. Number, states, brief, basic briefs, basic phrases. Move on now to the jury charge and literary. Drink some water. I'm almost out of water.
Hello, welcome to the 80 literary and jury charge portion of the class. Today we're going to start out with some jury charge. Okay, everyone ready? Members of the jury, in the course of the proceedings before you, I shall, from time to time, instruct you in the law pertaining to this case. It shall be your duty to follow the law. You must further determine from the evidence the facts of the case. You must further determine from the evidence the facts of the case. The evidence, the facts of the case. Further determine from the evidence the facts of the case, being judicious in your discrimination between fact and allegation. Facts are limited to items of testimony admitted as evidence or stipulated by counsel. On other than direct testimony, counsel will other or stipulated by counsel. on other than direct testimony, counsel will say, "So stipulated." Allegations by counsel or litigants, inferences from questions, hearsay, and all testimony stricken from the record must be ignored as though they had never occurred. If counsel record must be ignored, stricken from hearsay, and all testimony stricken from the record must be ignored as though they had never occurred. If counsel objects to a question and the objection is sustained, you must not conjecture as to the probable answer to the question. On the other hand, any objection to a question which is overruled by me is to be treated as though there had been no objection, and the question is admissible. Okay, I have an article for you. This is called "Don't Sweat the Small Stuff." Here we go. Ready? Often we allow ourselves to get all worked up about things that, upon closer examination, aren't really that big a deal. We focus on little problems and concerns, and on closer examination aren't really that big a deal. We focus on little problems and concerns and blow them way out of proportion. A stranger, for example, might cut in front of us in traffic. Rather than let it go and go on with our day, we convince ourselves that we are justified in our anger. We play out an imaginary confrontation in our mind. Many of us might even tell someone else about in our mind. Many of us might even tell someone else about the incident later on, rather than simply let it go. Why not instead simply allow the driver to have his accident somewhere else? Try to have compassion for the person and remember how painful it is to be in such an enormous hurry. This way, we can maintain our own sense of well-being and avoid taking other people's problems personally. There are many similar small stuff examples that occur every day. There are many similar small stuff examples that occur every day in our lives, whether we had to wait in line, listen to unfair criticism, or do the lion's share of the work. It pays enormous dividends if we learn not to worry about the little things. It pays enormous dividends if we learn not to worry about the little things. So many people spend so much of their life energy sweating the small stuff that they completely lose touch with the magic and beauty of life. When you commit to working toward this goal, you will find that you will have far more energy to be kinder and gentler. I have an article on Jupiter. Okay, this is called Giant Jupiter. See it in September. Here we go. Tonight, if the sky is clear, see it in, okay, this is called Giant Jupiter. See it in September. Here we go. Tonight, if the sky is clear, you can see Jupiter, the biggest planet in the solar system. You can watch it rise. And if you have binoculars, you can see 4 of its moons. You don't need a telescope to do all this. And you don't need to be an expert. From Earth, Jupiter looks like a star, but it isn't really. Stars shine because they are hot and make their own light. Like all of the sun's planets, Jupiter shines simply because it reflects sunlight that is falling onto it. Jupiter circles the sun just as Earth does, but Jupiter is much farther away. Earth is 93 million as Earth does, but Jupiter is much farther away. Earth is 93 million miles from the sun. Jupiter is 484 million miles from the sun. Because Jupiter is so far away, it takes 12 of Earth's years to complete one orbit. Despite its great distance, Jupiter is very bright. It looks brighter than any star, and its distance, Jupiter is very bright. It looks brighter than any star, and it normally outshines every other planet except Venus. Sometimes Mars is also brighter than Jupiter, but usually it isn't. Jupiter is so bright because it is so big. It is 88,800 miles across, 11 times wider than Earth. A planet that size reflects a lot of sunlight. Seeing Jupiter is easy. On a clear night this September, go outside 2 hours after sunset. Face east, the direction opposite where the sun 2 hours after sunset. Face east, the direction opposite where the sun sets. Look at the entire eastern sky and find the brightest star you can see. That bright object is Jupiter. Jupiter will rise, and you can watch it do so. Bright object is Jupiter. Jupiter will rise, and you can watch it do so. Make a note of where Jupiter is at first. Then come back in an hour. You'll see that Jupiter is higher in the eastern sky. If you were to watch the planet all night, you would see it continue to rise until it reached its high point. Then it would drop slowly down the western sky. It reached its high point. Then it would drop slowly down the western sky and set in the west. Jupiter and the other planets rise and set for the same reason the sun does, because the earth is turning. These objects appear to go around us. Now it's time for a greater challenge, the 4 big moons of Jupiter. You can see them if you have binoculars. Jupiter has 16 known moons that go around it the way the moon orbits Earth. Has 16 known moons that go around it the way the moon orbits Earth. 4 of these moons are big, and they are easy to see with binoculars. The other 12 are much smaller, and you would need a telescope to see them. First, focus the binoculars by pointing them at any star and adjusting the focus so that the star looks like a point. Then hold the binoculars steady. Prop them up against a tree or fence and point them at Jupiter. You should see 3 or 4 tiny tree or fence and point them at Jupiter. You should see 3 or 4 tiny points of light lined up beside Jupiter. These points of light are inside Jupiter. Points of light lined up beside Jupiter. These points of light are its large moons. Some of the moons might be on one side of the planet, while others might be on the other side. And once during every orbit, each moon passes in front of and behind Jupiter. At those times, you can't see the moon at all. That's why you might not see all 4 moons. Italian astronomer Galileo Galilei discovered the 4 moons in 1610. Italian astronomer Galileo Galilei discovered the 4 moons in 1610 when he pointed a small telescope at Jupiter in 1610 when he pointed a small telescope at Jupiter. Sometimes the 4 moons are called the Galilean moons in his honor. The moons' names are Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. Several space moons named Galilean moons in his honor. The moons' names are Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. Several Ganymede and Callisto. Several spacecraft have sent back pictures of Jupiter and its moons. One of these spacecraft, appropriately named Galileo, has gone into orbit around the planet. So now its moons. One of these spacecraft, appropriately named Galileo, has gone into orbit around the planet. So now we know what the Galilean moons look like. Io is red and orange and yellow. Ganymede is gray. The Galilean moons look like. Io is red and orange and yellow. Ganymede is gray, and Callisto is black. You won't be able to yellow. Ganymede is gray, and Callisto is black. You won't be able to tell this through binoculars, since all you'll see are tiny points of light. Jupiter's moons are fun to watch. You won't be able to tell this through binoculars, since all you'll see are tiny points of light. Jupiter's moons are fun to watch. Each night they're in different places because they move around Jupiter much faster than our moon moves around Earth. Our moon takes about a month to go around Earth, but Io, the fastest of Jupiter's 4 big moons, circles the planet in just 1 day and 18 hours. Even the slowest, Callisto, completes an orbit in just Callisto and 18 hours. Even the slowest, Callisto, completes an orbit in just half a month. Each night, you can observe the moons through binoculars and write down where the moons are. Even if you don't want to follow the moon through binoculars, and write down where the moons are. Even if you don't want to follow the motions of Jupiter's moons night after night, even if you don't want to follow the motions of Jupiter's moons night after night, think what you've done tonight. You've seen the biggest planet in the solar system, plus 4 of its moons, all without a telescope. Not bad for a night's work.
I need to fix this. Those binoculars, I kept getting that wrong. Binoculars. I am spelling binoculars right? Let me check. No, it's one N. Telescope. Circles. Where's the next binoculars? Right there. This is Annie Wood. Telescope. Binoculars. Jupiter, Moon, Annie, me. Well, that one wrong too. This one is the closest to binoculars. Callisto. Callisto. Binoculars. Telescope. That was a lot of errors.
Okay, let's work. Okay. I have some Latin and French words, and they're going to be incorporated into this paragraph as well. So I'll give you the words first. I have some Latin and French words, and they're going to be incorporated into this paragraph as well. So I'll give you the words first. Okay, we have mensa et toro, and they're going to be incorporated into this paragraph as well. So I'll give you the words first. Okay, we have mensa et toro, we have certiorari, we have as well. So I'll give you the words first. Okay, we have mensa et toro.
Mensa a toro? Mensa. I don't know what she's saying. Amensa it toro. The literal meaning of the term is from bed and board. A divorce, amensa et toro, is rather a separation of the parties by act of law than a dissolution. Okay, so she just pronounced it wrong. I'm gonna add this to my dictionary. That is a lot of strokes. Amensa et toro. Mensa et toro. Not working. There. I got it working. Tertiary? Tertiary. 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 No, it's giving me Sharia. I don't know what this one is either. Tertiary? I don't know what this one is either. Ex post facto. Definitely something that I immediately know how to spell, but not tertiary. She'll probably define it during the actual exercise.
lemony. Okay, here.
Wait. Yeah. In lemony? In lemony. Pronouncing it wrong again, I see. Lemonade. In lemony. In lemonade.
Scary. We have ex post facto. And we also have in lemony. Okay, here's your paragraph. Mensa etoro. Also have in lemony. Okay, here's your.
Ah! Put the wrong things in. EL. There. In lemony.
And we also have
Ad starts soon. 30 seconds.
in lemony. Okay, here's your paragraph.
I'm just gonna wait until the ad break starts. Okay, I'll be right back. Yay! Back to where it was. Paragraph.
Okay, here's your paragraph. Mensa et toro means a legal separation. Several states, including California, use the term separate maintenance. California, separation. Several states, including California, use the term separate maintenance rather than a mensa toro. A writ of certiorari is an order requiring a review or inquiry. The term separate maintenance rather than a mensa toro. Separate states, including California, use the term separate maintenance rather than a mensa toro. A writ of
She's saying it wrong.
And a mensa toro. A writ of certiorari is an order requiring a review.
Tertiary. Oops. Look it up now. Is she saying certiorari incorrectly too? It's there's only a writ of certiorari. I can't find certiorari anywhere. Search. It's got a brief. Search.
Et toro, we have certiorari. We have ex post facto, and we also have in limine. Okay, here's your paragraph. Mensa et toro means a legal separation. Several states, including California, use the term separate maintenance rather than a mensa toro. A writ of certiorari is an order requiring a review or inquiry and is exercised in an appellate proceeding. Certiorari is often shortened to cert. Ex post facto means after the fact. Certiorari is often shortened to cert. Ex post facto means after the fact. And ex post facto law after the fact. An ex post facto law.
How do I spell appellate? Two L's, one T. Two P's, two L's, one T.
Fact. Ex post facto means after the fact. An ex post facto law is a doctrine that makes an act a crime after the act has been. Facto law is a doctrine that makes an act a crime after the act has been performed. A mensa et toro means from bed to, from bed and has been performed. Mensa et toro means from bed to, from bed and board. Bed to mensa et toro means from bed to, from bed and board. Ex post facto laws are generally prohibited by the Constitution. In limine means on the threshold or about to happen by the Constitution. In limine means on the threshold or about to happen, a motion made at the outset of a trial by the Constitution. In limine means on the threshold or about to happen, a motion made at the outset of a trial is a motion in limine. Okay. I have some congressional record here. Okay. Let's see. Here we go. Mr. President, as this year has drawn to a close, what we have been taking or what has been taking place in Eastern Europe is nothing short. We have been taking or what has been taking place in Eastern Europe is nothing short of a miracle. The free world has stood by and taking or what has been taking place in Eastern Europe is nothing short of a miracle. The free world has stood by in utter amazement while one man, Mr. Gorbachev, has been at the helm.
How do I spell Gorbachev? I swear, Steno makes me worse at spelling. Gorbachev? Come on. Oh, that's the wrong one.
Of a transformation has been at one man, Mr. Gorbachev, has been at the helm of a transformation that has taken people everywhere by surprise. We have seen the Cold War, peacefully deconstruct. We have seen the Berlin Wall come tumbling down. Cold War, peacefully deconstruct. We have seen the Berlin Wall come tumbling down. We have seen the Iron Curtain crumble. Gorbachev was president of the Soviet deconstruct. We have seen the Berlin Wall come tumbling down. We have seen the Iron Curtain crumble. Gorbachev was president of the Soviets and a powerful leader. In some accounts, tumbling down. We have seen the Iron Curtain crumble. Gorbachev was president of the Soviets and a powerful leader. In some accounts, he is regarded as president of the Soviets and a powerful leader. In some accounts, he is regarded as a hero for challenging ideology. that has been around since the time of Stalin. By others, he is regarded as dangerous because he was questioning the philosophy of communism. With remarkable imagination, Yeltsin has embarked on an irreversible with remarkable imagination, Yeltsin has embarked on an irreversible and daring remarkable imagination.
Yeltsin? Boris Yeltsin?
With remarkable imagination, Yeltsin has embarked on an irreversible and daring course. He is attempting to transform an inherently destructive daring course. He is attempting to transform an inherently destructive governmental system. He is trying to break down the old regime and make down mental system. He is trying to break down mental system. He is trying to break down the old regime and make way for a new Soviet Union, even a new Europe. We as Americans must question his goals. Is he working towards must question a new Europe? We as Americans must question his goals. Is he working toward a free Europe and a free international market? The radical changes he has instigated during the last 2 years include the radical changes he has instigated during the last 2 years include the right to free expression and free speech. He is attempting to restructure his own country, to do away with suppression, to do away with threats, to do away with stagnation, and to do away with oppression, to do away with threats, to do away with stagnation, and to do away with forced labor. The effects of this revolutionary thinking have been felt in Hungary, Germany, Poland, and China. He has inaugurated these changes in Hungary, Germany, Poland, and China. He has inaugurated these changes in his own country without bloodshed. Mr. President has inaugurated these changes in his own country without bloodshed. Mr. President, Yeltsin is to be heralded as a breath of fresh air. I highly recommend Mr. President, Yeltsin is to be heralded as a breath of fresh air. I highly recommend that we wholeheartedly endorse and support him. I highly recommend that we wholeheartedly endorse and support him. Okay, that concludes our literary and jury charge for the day. You have a great day.
Okay, let me go through this and fix up the errors, of which there are many. Okay, that's it. Fixed it. A.
Hello, welcome to the Q&A practice for the 80 class. We're going to start off with the plaintiff and the subject is automobile accident. Okay, ready? Practice for the 80 class. We're going to start off with the plaintiff and the subject is automobile accident. Okay, ready? Mr. Birch, will you state your relationship with the plaintiff, Mr. Swanson? I am a friend of Mr. Swanson's. Will you state whether or not you observed an automobile accident on September 10? I did. Where was the Swanson's? Will you state whether or not you observed an automobile accident on September 10? I did. Where was that accident? It was at 3rd and Oak. Where had you been coming from when you saw the accident? We were coming from a friend's house. And where does this friend live? He lives on James Avenue off of 3rd. About how far is that from where the accident happened? Of 3rd. About how far is that from where the accident happened? I would say 4 or 5 blocks. Will you state why you were over at this friend's house? Well, he just...
And was it the court or the defense that spoke now?
Got it. Will he lives on James Avenue off of 3rd.
The court.
About how far is that from where the accident happened? I would say 4 or 5 blocks. Will you state why you were over at this friend's house? Well, he just got married and we went over there to see him for the first time since the wedding. I see. Who else was there besides yourself and your friend and his wife? Mr. Swanson. Did you arrive together or separately? We arrived separately. How did you get there? I drove in my own car. Will you state what you did while you were visiting your friend? Oh, we watched TV and we had one drink, then we ate. How late did you watch TV? We had one drink, then we ate. How late did you watch TV? Do you remember approximately? I would say until about 12:30. And about what time did you leave? It must have been a little after 2. Did you leave separately? That's right. When did you next observe Mr. Swanson's car? That's right. When did you next observe Mr. Swanson's car? About a block away, because he went around the block and I met him at the next block. I got behind him. Will you explain why he went around the block? Because he was facing in the other direction. Were both your cars on the same street, but facing in different directions? Yes. Which way were you facing? I was facing west.
Who are you talking with? No one. This is a video. See? It's a YouTube video.
Street, but facing in different directions? Yes. Which way were you facing? I was facing west, so I could get on 3rd Avenue. Will you explain the weather conditions as you started to drive home? The weather was very good.
I thought it's you, sorry. It's okay.
Explain the get on 3rd Avenue. Will you explain the weather conditions as you started to drive home? The weather was very good. And the road conditions? They were good too. Then both your car and Mr. Swanson's car were proceeding on 3rd Avenue. Is that correct? That's right. In which direction were you proceeding? We were going south. How many blocks did you travel on 3rd before proceeding? We were going south. How many blocks did you travel on 3rd before you got to Oak? About 3 blocks. And how far were you behind Mr. Swanson's car? about half a block. Are you able to remember your speed at that time? As you were traveling down 3rd Avenue, about 25 miles an hour, was the distance between your car and the Swanson's car increasing or decreasing? You were traveling down 3rd Avenue about 25 miles an hour. Was the distance between your car and the Swanson's car increasing or decreasing? It stayed about the same. Were you able to observe the speed of the Swanson's car as it proceeded ahead of you? He was going about the same speed as I was. Now, as the Swanson car approached Oak Street, a half block ahead of you, will you tell the jury what you saw there?
Half block away?
Oak Street, a half block ahead of you. Will you tell the jury what you saw there? Well, I saw his brake lights go on. That caught my attention, and the sound of the brakes caught my attention. Then I
Why am I
saw
watching this
the
woman?
crash.
Because I'm practicing.
Then
See?
brakes
I'm practicing.
caught my attention. Then I saw the crash. Did you see the defendant's car before the crash? No, I didn't. When you saw the crash, what did you do? I stopped. Approximately where did you stop, if you remember? About the middle of the block on 3rd. Would this be north or south of the accident? It would be north of the accident. I see. And what did you do then? I got out of the car and went to see what it was all about. I saw Mr. Swanson lying on the street. Now,
how? Well, this is called stenography. She's reading a transcript from a court case, and I'm copying down what she's saying. That's why there are words popping up. This is Notepad++.
Did you observe where the cars? I saw Mr. Swanson lying on the street. Now, did you observe where the cars were as they came to rest after the accident? Yes, I did. Where was Mr. Swanson's car? It was close to the curb, facing northwest. I would say it was more or less north. Did you observe where the defendant's car was? Yes, I did. It was in the front yard of a house. It went through a wooden fence and more or less ended up in the hedges. It flew over the curb and landed in the hedges. Okay, so we've got a few more minutes. I'm going to read the dog bite transcript again. We'll continue from there. This is defense questioning. Ready? When transcript again. We'll continue from there. This is defense questioning. Ready? When the dog ran at Daniel, did you see what Daniel did? Yeah. With your own eyes? Yes. What did Daniel do? He started to climb the fence. Did you see Daniel climb the fence? Yes. How far up the fence did you see Daniel climb? Just like halfway, almost up to the top. Where were almost up to the top? Where were you when you saw Daniel halfway up the fence? I was in the garage by the car. Were you going into the house? Yes. I'm sorry. What was the answer to that last question? Yes. Yes. Thank you. Okay. Did you hear Daniel say anything to the dog? No. Yes. Thank you. Okay. Did you hear Daniel say anything to the dog? No. Did you hear Daniel yell at the dog? No. Okay, that concludes our Q&A for the AD class. Have a great day.
All in a typo. All in a day's typo. I think I did pretty well this time. Oops. Next is the test.
Hello, this is going to be an AD Q&A test. Plaintiff attorney is Mr. Sharp, S-H-A-R-P. Defense attorney is Mr. Alcala, A-L-C-A-L-A. Again, plaintiff attorney, Mr. Sharp, S-H-A-R-P. And defense attorney is going to be Mr. Alcala. Plaintiff attorney, Mr. A-L-A. Again, plaintiff attorney, Mr. Sharp, S-H-A-R-P. And defense attorney is going to be Mr. Alcala, A-L-C-A-L-A. Okay, this is going to start off with plaintiff attorney. C-A-L-A. Okay, this is going to start off with plaintiff attorney. Ready? Thank you for taking time off work so that you could attend this deposition. Well, let's do this. Just to let you know, I'll be going a little bit in your background and cover a little bit of some of the information about the accident and then some specifics that are in your report. One thing that I think is always important is there are no video cameras today, so no nods of the head, shrugs of the shoulders, and even though we're audible, no nods of the head, shrugs of the shoulders, and even though we're audible here with uh-huhs and huh-uhs, we need to get an actual English response. Yes and no. Huh-uhs, we need to get an actual English response. Yes and no, if we can. If I do say to you, is that a yes or is that a no? Please understand, I'm not being rude to you. I'm just wanting to make certain our court reporter gets a response in English, okay? Okay, I understand. Let's go first with your background, if you could. We're going to start with your high school. Did you graduate from high school? Yes, I did. And what year was that?
Why can't I spell graduate all of a sudden?
Let's go first with your background, if you could. We're going to start with your high school.
I think I got the punctuation wrong there.
School. Did you graduate from high school? Yes, I did. And what year was that? That was in 2005. And where did you go to high school? I went to high school at Union High School in Corona, California. And while you were in high school, did you have any type of experience with regard to police science, police investigation, anything like that? No? Okay. And after high school, did you have any other that? No? Okay. And after high school, did you have any other kind of formal education? Yes, I went to a local community college in Norco. What was the name of that college? It is called Norco Hills College. Okay, and that's located in Norco. It is called Norco Hills College. Okay, and that's located in Norco, California. And what year did you enter? I entered in the spring of 2006. And when did you graduate from there?
Enter.
What year did you enter? I entered in the spring of 2006. And when did you graduate from there? No, wait. Fall of 2005. I'm sorry. It was in 2005. Okay. And how long did you go to the Norco Hills College? I went for 3 years. And did you end or stop then? Well, according to my notes, it would be around 2008. That is correct. Did you achieve any kind of certificate, degree, or anything like that? No. And how many units did you accomplish? I'm not sure. Can you give us an estimate? Did you accomplish? I'm not sure. Can you give us an estimate? I don't have the estimate. It was whatever it is required to transfer after having enough units. Oh, okay. Did you transfer? Yes.
Let me fix this up. Wait, let me wait until she gives me the word list.
Okay, we have a word list. We've got Union High School, capital UNION, capital H on high, capital S on school, Corona, capital COUNION, capital H on high, capital S on school, Corona, capital CORONA, California, capital C on California, Union High School, capital UNION, capital H on high, capital S on school, Corona, capital CORONA, California, capital C on California. Then we have Norco, capital N as in Nancy, ORCO, California, capital C on California. Then we have Norco, capital N as in Nancy, ORCO, Hills College. So Norco Hills College. Then we have Norco, capital N as in Nancy, ORCO, Hills College. So Norco Hills College. Capital HILLS. And then capital C on college. And then they also refer to Norco Hills College. So Norco Hills College. Capital HILLS. And then capital C on college. Capital HILLS. And then capital C on college. And then they also refer to Norco as just the city, Norco. Okay, that is it for the word list, so that concludes our Hills College. Capital Hills, and then capital C on college. And then they also refer to Norco as just the city, Norco. Okay, that is it for the word list, so that concludes capital C on college. And then they also refer to Norco as just the city, Norco. Okay, that is it for the word list, so that concludes our 80 Q&A. And then they also refer to Norco as just the city, Norco. Okay, that is it for the word list, so that concludes our 80 Q&A test. That is it for the word list, so that concludes our 80 Q&A test. Good luck.
Okay. Norco. Norco Hills College. Okay, let me fix this. Corona, California. This is supposed to be Norco, not New Yorko. I finished it. Next is the tip. Tip for the day. God, my back hurts so much. I swear, I keep raising my machine up, and I'm still slumping. Hurts my back. I'm wary of raising my machine too high because I don't want to accidentally hurt my wrists. Maybe I should slow this down. Oh, I'll put it at half speed.
Dictionary, 11th edition. The mirroring intents are accurate. So the dictionary that I prefer and recommend is the Merriam-Webster's Collegiate Dictionary, and that is the 11th edition. Okay, so the Merriam-Webster's Collegiate Dictionary, 11th edition. Okay, I have had my dictionary since I was a student in school. Obviously, the edition changed, so I purchased a new. The edition student in school. Obviously, the edition changed, so I purchased a new one and updated it. But on the inside flap of that dictionary, I have written down all of the words that gave me a hard time, that I had a hard time spelling or remembering how to spell. When I first became a student, I had a hard time remembering and along with sergeant. I'm a student, I had a hard time remembering became a student. When I first became a student, I had a hard time remembering and along with sergeant. Just basic words that kind of were tricky for me. So I just along with sergeant. Just basic words that kind of were tricky for me. So I really highly recommend that you get that dictionary now and start personalizing it. And once you go to the state test or take the RPR, you can have that dictionary with you. You're allowed to have a dictionary with you. So then when you go on to become a reporter, you're allowed to have a dictionary with you. So then when you go on to become a reporter, you're always going to have your dictionary. So right now, as a student, you can highlight words, underline them, put them on.
Jazz Abdel Games just redeemed Hydrate.
Thank you for redeeming Hydrate, Jazz.
The highlight words, and right now as to have your dictionary. So right now as a student, you can highlight dictionary with you. So then when you go on to become a reporter, you're always going to have your dictionary. So right now as a student, you can highlight words, underline them, put them on the inside of the cover so that they're easy, it's easy access. So I really
Ad starts in 1 minute.
It's easy access so that they're easy side of the cover so that they're easy, it's easy access. So I really highly recommend that you get one now, and you can
it's lagging a little bit. The input for Notepad++. That's why I keep rewinding, because the video will just continue on, but Notepad++ isn't registering my strokes correctly yet. Okay, be right back. Ad starts. Okay, we're back.
Cover so that they're easy, it's easy access. So I really highly recommend that you get one now, and you can even go on to Amazon and probably find one now. So I really highly recommend that you get one now, and you can even go on to Amazon and probably find some. I know I went on last week and looked, and there was one on there for like $5, a hardcover. It was used $5 last week and looked, and there was one on there for like $5, a hardcover. It was used, but it said it was like new, so they're not expensive. You can find them like new, so it was used, but it said it was like new, so they're not expensive. You can find them on Amazon for cheap. Okay, so it'd be a great tool and app. You can find them on Amazon for cheap. Okay, so it'd be a great tool and access to have, and you won't regret it. All right, have a great day. And access to have, and you won't regret it. All right, have a great day.
That's cool to know. Sergeant! That is how you spell sergeant, right? Double check. Yes, that is indeed how you spell sergeant. My Google Doc is over 500 pages long. It's way too long now. Maybe I should split it. Okay, we're moving on to the 100 words per minute class.
To drill practice, let's start out with some of the 100 most used phrases. Here we go. They were, I have, you had, in a, was there, I didn't, to see, for the, saw the, where was, and you, at any, from the, into the, saw him, to get, I had, was the, you have, I could, you are, to go, you do you, there is, I think, you mean, about the, have you, what is, when I, where did, after that, and I, did you have, not see, of course, on that, to be, by the, in front, out of the, that is right. Okay, and I just want to mention that those are just in general phrases that are used. They're not necessarily phrases that you might have learned to brief in school. Necessarily, they might be, but it's just things that people say, phrases that people use in general all the time, okay? So if you did learn a brief, that's wonderful, and if you didn't, you'll just write them out. Okay? All right, so let's move on to some numbers and letter practice.
No!
Okay, numbers and letters.
Not numbers!
Here we go.
I hate numbers.
3 FRH 701 87 FGD 45
This goes on forever.
5 SER 923 SHD 489A FQT 4231 6 GT7 SE2 908 HNJ2 98 KJ7 65 897 HJG3
Is that it? Oh, I was whining for no reason.
Right, next let's practice some of these items from my book 14,000 Things to Be Happy About. So just some random things to be happy about. Here we go. Jelly rolls. Allowances. Competence. Smooth, muscular arms. Window spray de-icer. Cinnamon coffee cake. Dinner with laughter. Funny toes. Knowing there will be many surprises in the future. Heinz tomato ketchup. A portable aluminum camp grill. Working better in dull weather. Food gifts. Frosted glass ceilings and pink capped chandeliers. Ghost stories and marshmallows. by a fire. Apple beer. Apple squares with cream cheese. Strawberry peach pie. Working on a project. Attic junk. The first week of school. Watching others play. Washing the car mats. Hot peppers threaded on a long string in a kitchen.
Got time for one more drill.
Alrighty, so that's actually some very good vocabulary development, because there's probably some words in there in some of those that we don't hear too often. So good vocabulary. All right. So let's practice for a few minutes here some dates. Here we go. January 9th, February 28th, February 12th, April 3rd, April 4th, February 13th, March 1st, January 10th, January 11th, March 2nd, February 14th, April 5th, April 6th, February 15th, March 3rd, January 12th, January 13th, March 4th, February 16th, April 7th. I hope you caught the TH, the and the third, the erd. I did read all those dates that way. So
Okay, now let's do the jury charge.
welcome to Jury Charge and Literary Practice. Let's get started with this jury charge. Ready? However, in any case, based on circumstantial evidence, if the circumstantial evidence is susceptible of two reasonable interpretations, one of which points to the defendant's guilt and the other interpretation to his or her innocence, you must adopt that interpretation which points to the defendant's innocence and reject that interpretation which points to the defendant's guilt. If one interpretation appears reasonable and the other interpretation appears unreasonable, you must accept the reasonable interpretation and reject the unreasonable. Murder is the unlawful killing of a human being with malice aforethought. Malice means either an expressed intent to kill or an intent to commit an act dangerous to human life without knowledge of the danger to and with conscious disregard for human life. Aforethought means the malice must precede the act. First-degree murder occurs when the killing is committed with malice aforethought and a deliberate and premeditated intent to kill. Deliberate means determined after careful thought and weighing of the consequences. Premeditated means considered beforehand. The law does not try to measure in units of time the length of time during which the thought must be pondered before it can ripen into an intent to kill that is truly deliberate and premeditated. The time will vary with different individuals and different circumstances. The true test is not the duration of time, but the extent of the reflection. A cold, calculated decision may be arrived at in a short time, but a mere unconsidered, rash impulse will not amount to deliberation and premeditation, even though it includes an intent to kill. If you are not satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty of first-degree murder, he may be found guilty of any lesser offense, such as second-degree murder, voluntary manslaughter, or involuntary manslaughter, if the evidence is sufficient to establish his guilt of such lesser offense beyond a reasonable doubt. Second-degree murder occurs when the killing is with malice aforethought, but without deliberation and premeditation. Voluntary manslaughter is the intention killing of a human being without malice aforethought. An intentional killing is said to be without malice aforethought and therefore reduced to voluntary manslaughter in the following circumstances: where the killing is committed during a sudden quarrel or heat of passion, and where the provocation is such that it would naturally arouse such passions, and where the killer acts under the smart of that heat of passion. The heat of passion that will reduce a murder to manslaughter must be such as naturally would be aroused in the mind of an ordinary reasonable person in the same circumstances.
I didn't do very well on that one. I also kept spelling malice aforethought wrong.
some of the words in here that you might want to practice. Manslaughter, voluntary manslaughter, reasonable doubt, malice aforethought, interpretation. We had interpretation in there, I think, a few times.
A few, she said.
Unreasonable, deliberate, all right. How about we'll do a little bit of literary practice now. Something maybe a little bit lighter. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. I received a letter from a parent who wrote, "Mr. Rogers, how do you do it? I wish I were like you. I want to be patient and quiet and even tempered and always speak respectfully to my children, but that just isn't my personality. I often lose my patience and even scream at my children. I want to change from an impatient person to a patient person, from an angry person into a gentle one. Just as it takes time for children to understand what real love is, it takes time for parents to understand that being always patient, quiet, even-tempered, and respectful isn't necessarily what good parents are. In fact, parents help children by expressing a wide range of feelings, including appropriate anger. All children need to see that the adults in their lives can feel anger and not hurt themselves or anyone else when they feel that way. All right, back to some jury charge practice. Ready?
I am ready.
The jurors voted as reasonable people. They made a decision based upon the evidence that they had at the time. The jury must return a verdict of not guilty unless they can find enough tangible evidence to prove that the defendant had committed the crime with which he had been charged. The defendant must be set free if the state's case is not strong. The state has the burden of proving the evidence. In this case, the state had the best evidence. Later, it was determined that the state had evidence that it did not share with the defense.
Ew.
The state is not able to do that. The state must share the evidence that it has. In this charge to the jury, the judge told the ladies and gentlemen of the jury that they were going to be led into a room where they would stay until they decided the fate of the defendant in this case. At the time that they felt that they were ready with their decision, they were to let the judge know. They were to feel safe in their decision.
Wonder what's next. I remembered ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
All right, let's try this literary material.
It took me a try. Literary material.
Ready? One summer, midway through school, I was on a weekend vacation in a little town in New England. I decided on Sunday to go hear a visiting preacher in the little town's chapel. I heard the worst sermon I could ever have imagined. I sat in the pew thinking, he's going against every rule they're teaching us about preaching. What a waste of time. That's what I thought until the very end of the sermon, when I happened to see the person beside me with tears in her eyes, whispering. He said exactly what I needed to hear. It was then that I knew something very important had happened in that service. The woman beside me had come in need. Somehow the words of that poorly crafted sermon had been translated into a message that spoke to her heart. On the other hand, I had come in judgment, and I heard nothing but the faults. It was a long time before I realized it, but that sermon's effect on the person beside me turned out to be one of the great lessons of my life. Thanks to that preacher and listener in need, I now know that the space between a person doing his or her best to deliver a message of good news and the needy listener is holy ground. Recognizing that seems to have allowed me to forgive myself for being the accuser that day. In fact, that New England Sunday experience has fueled my desire to be a better advocate, a better neighbor, wherever I am. That literary was actually out of a book I have. It's called The World According to Mr. Rogers. So just some nice little short stories in here. Let's see here. What else do we have? Maybe have one more nice little story.
How long is this? Oh, we got 2 minutes left.
All right, let's try this one.
Real quick.
Nice and short. Ready? One of the mysteries is that as unlike as we are, one human being from another, we also share much in common. Our lives begin the same way, by birth. The love and interdependence of parents and children is universal, and so are the many difficulties parents and children have in becoming separate from one another. As we grow, we laugh and cry at many of the same things and fear many of the same things. At the end, all we leave the same way, by death. Yet no two threads, no two lives in that vast tapestry of existence have ever been or ever will be the same.
Okay, next is the Q&A.
Welcome to Q&A practice. Let's start out actually with a little bit of just two voice. Get us warmed up. We'll start with the defense.
My back hurts.
Here we go. When did you first notice that there was any work going on down along Vincent Drive? Oh, a few days prior to the occurrence. How did that come to your attention? We saw them. You mean you and your wife? Yes. Were you driving along Vincent at that time? No, we saw them from our front window. Were you aware, before you saw them, that there was going to be some construction in the area? Just hearsay. And you became aware that the sewer line was going to be placed along the road, did you not? Yes. Approximately when did you first become aware of that? It would be a matter of a few weeks, I would say. I don't recall specifically. Did you make any effort to ascertain the nature of the work that was going to be done? No, I did not. Did you make any effort to ascertain the manner in which the work was going to be done? No. Did you have any objection to the work being done? None at all. Now you say you were home on the day when this first happened. Is that correct? Right. Were you able to observe what was going on down there, basically from where you were? Not directly in front of our house. At the time you first noticed the cracks, do you know whether the pipe had been laid in the trench? I believe the pipe at that point had been laid. Do you know when the trench along the front of your property and adjacent to the roadway was dug? It was dug that day.
Oh, moving on? Okay. Basically.
Right. Get our fingers warmed up. Now we'll start working on this transcript. So it looks like we will have two attorneys, plaintiff and the defense, that will be questioning. All right. Starts out with the plaintiff. Here we go. Would you please state your full name and spell your last name for the record? Susan Ann Lee, L-E-E. Okay, Miss Lee, have you had an opportunity to speak with your attorney regarding the nature of the proceeding here today? Yes. Okay, at the risk of being repetitive, I'm going to be going over most likely what he went over with you. You've been placed under oath by the court reporter, and that's an oath that carries with it the penalty of perjury. Do you understand that? Yes. Okay. Have you had your deposition taken before? No. Okay. Well, try not to be nervous. Like I indicated earlier, I don't think we'll be long here today, so try to bear with me. After The court reporter has had an opportunity to transcribe everything that is said here today. She'll make a little booklet out, okay? The booklet will be sent to you, and you will have an opportunity to read it and to make any corrections which you deem necessary, okay? So, no one expects you to be perfect here today, but try your best, because if you make any substantial changes, that could prove embarrassing to you, okay? All right. Also, wait for me to finish my entire question before you give any kind of a response, because it's difficult for the court reporter to listen to two people talking at the same time, okay? Okay. Try to speak up, because although you can nod your head and use gestures like I do all the time, that doesn't mean anything to the court reporter, as she is listening intently to everything that is said. Okay? Okay. Try not to give categorical responses, which are uh-huh or huh-uh, because later when those are put into the booklet, it's hard to understand if that was a yes or a no. Okay? Okay. Don't purposely guess at anything, because I'm not entitled to have you guess. Okay? I am entitled to have your best estimate of certain things. Do you understand the difference between a guess and an estimate? Yes. Good. If you don't understand anything that I ask you, or you didn't hear any question, please feel free to let me know, because I don't want you to have to guess at the meaning of the question, okay? Okay. Are you taking any medication, or are you under the influence of any alcoholic beverages which might affect your ability to give some good testimony here today? No. If at any time you want to take a break, please say the word, and I will be happy to accommodate you. Okay? Okay. Do you have any questions before we begin? No. What is your current residence address? 260 East 10th Street, Simi Valley. And how long have you resided at that address? Approximately 2 years. And prior to living at that address, where did you live? I was living in Richmond, Virginia for a month. Okay. Prior to living in Richmond, Virginia for a month, did you live in Simi Valley? Uh-huh. Okay. In Highland? In Highland? Yes. Okay. And what street is this in Highland? Summer Lane. What's your date of birth? 7/27/57. Do you know your driver's license number? Yes. And could you give that to me? N2510650. Are you currently employed? Unemployed. You're currently unemployed? Yes. Okay. When was the last time you were employed? June of 02, June 01. And at that time, who were you employed by? St. Joseph's Hospital. And what was your occupation? Nurse's aide.
God damn it. I kept messing up. I couldn't keep up at all, especially when it was like going really fast for a second. Okay, let me try the test.
Welcome. This will be a 100 practice Q&A test. 100 practice Q&A test. Our plaintiff attorney, Mr. Chandler, capital CHANDLER. Defense attorney, Mr. Jones, capital JONES. And it starts with the plaintiff.
Plaintiff.
Ready? Did you deal directly with the people who contracted with you for services? No, I didn't. Who did? The branch manager, who has the responsibility for profit and loss in your company. All the managers are responsible for their departments. Do they all participate in the budget process? Yes, they do. They all share the responsibility. That is correct. Was there a senior person above you located in your branch? Yes, the branch manager. Who did you report to directly? I reported to him. Did Ms. Bain advise you when she began employment with your company that she had a lawsuit pending against another company? I was not aware of it. You knew her and recommended her for the position, but you didn't know about her previous problem. That is correct. Who was the personnel manager advised of it? I didn't see anything in her records. You never discussed that issue with her. That is correct. You are not sure whether she was advised of it. I don't know if that matter came up. Were you present during any of the hiring interviews? No, I wasn't. Would your company have hired her knowing that she had a prior lawsuit against a company? I don't know. What does your company do in similar cases? That didn't come up since I have been working in personnel. It never came up, not while I was working at the company. Prior to Ms. Bain being hired, was anyone aware of her prior lawsuit? To your knowledge? To my knowledge, no. Did Ms. Bain seem to have a knowledge of what was going on in your company with regard to another lawsuit pending against your company? I don't know. Did Ms. Bain mention to you knowing her future husband who was employed at the company? No, she didn't. Did you tell Ms. Bain of other lawsuits pending against your company at any point in time while she was employed at your company? I don't recall mentioning any lawsuits. Did you ever tell Ms. Bain about any personnel matters in your company? No, I did not. I don't discuss personnel issues with anyone. How many lawsuits has the company had in any matters such as the one in which the company is now involved? None, to my knowledge. There were no other suits of this nature that you are aware of. That is correct. Was there any similar suits? No, not to my knowledge. How long have you been with the company? Over 3 years. And did any suits happen after you started? I'm not sure. Okay, was anyone else interviewed for the position that Ms. Bain was hired for? I wasn't involved in the process. Why was she chosen? I didn't make that decision. Do you know who made that decision? I believe the personnel manager with the approval of the president. But you certainly made the recommendation, did you not? Yes, I did. And did he see your recommendation? I don't know if that would have been the case.
That was hard. I didn't even get everything down. Rip me. I said I would try the 120 words per minute, so I'm gonna do that. I'll do the question, the Q&A, the test. There's 200 videos in that playlist? Damn. Okay. This is the QA. This is not the test. This is the QA. This is gonna suck. 100's already hard for me. Never mind 120.
Hello, welcome to the 120 Q&A practice. We're going to start out with some Q&A and defense will be questioning.
Defense.
Here we go. Ready? Mrs. Millbrook, do you recall anything from the recording that was played in this courtroom when you asked several times whether or not your husband was dead or injured? Yes, ma'am, I do. And in response to one of Mr. Phillips' questions, you indicated that that was the first time that you found out that your husband was seriously injured. Isn't that right? Yes, ma'am, it is, to my knowledge. Do you recall having a conversation with a Brent Knox of the Boise City Jail? Vaguely, yes, ma'am. Do you recall the date of that conversation? Well, I think it was sometime in November. Do you recall the substance of that conversation with Mr. Knox? Most of it, yes. Do you recall saying, well, they tried to kill Tony. They told me they wouldn't hurt him? Vaguely, yes. I guess I said something along those lines. So you were aware that Tony was seriously injured when you left the house? No. Why did you make that statement to Mr. Knox? Your Honor, I will object to that question as argumentative. Overruled. Your Honor, I will rephrase it. Mrs. Millbrook, on that date, after you were taken into custody in the city jail, you told Brent Knox that you knew that your husband was either dead or seriously injured. Do you recall making that statement? Yes, ma'am, kind of. You have testified in court today that you did not know whether your husband was dead or seriously injured until later that day when you were interrogated by Deputy Perez. That's when I officially knew his status. That's when you officially knew what, Mrs. Millbrook? That my husband was still alive. Actually, isn't it true that before you were removed from the house that night, they told you your husband was seriously injured? I don't remember. Yes or no? I don't remember. Later at the time you were interrogated, which we have on the recording, you asked if your husband was alive. Is that correct? I think I did. At that time, you
Okay,
made...
we're going to go into an ad break, and then I'll finish this. There's only 7 minutes left. Oh, and I can't snooze it. Sorry about that. Be right back. Okay, we're gonna finish this up. Whoops.
Some statements saying, thank heavens, thank the Lord. Yes, that is true. What made you believe Deputy Perez at that time and not earlier at your place of residence? Because someone came in the room, one of the other officers, and he said that he had received a call from the hospital that my husband was in intensive care. Mrs. Millbrook, do you recall sitting in a squad car that evening? Yes, ma'am, I do. And do you recall hearing a statement over the radio of that squad car that there was a shotgun victim at 908 Skyview Lane? Well, now, how do you expect me to remember all that? Objection, Your Honor. It is assuming a fact not yet in evidence. Sustained. Your Honor, I am asking if she recalls the statement on the radio. She can answer yes or no. The witness is instructed to answer the question. No, ma'am. Do you recall Deputy Perez sitting in the patrol car with you? I don't really remember what his name was. Was that man in the squad car with you in uniform? No, ma'am, he was not. Was he in civilian clothes? Yes, ma'am. Do you recall Deputy Perez telling you that you were under arrest for murder? No, I don't remember that. Your Honor, this assumes a fact that is not yet in evidence. Your Honor, it calls for a yes or no answer. Proceed, Mrs. Delaney. Mrs. Millbrook, do you recall being told by Deputy Perez at your residence after the shooting that you were under arrest? No, ma'am, I wasn't told I was under arrest. You don't recall being told that you were under arrest? No, ma'am, I don't recall that. Mrs. Millbrook, isn't your testimony that at that time you broke down and began intermittently crying and screaming at Deputy Perez? What would you do? I was upset. There were policemen all over the place. My hands were handcuffed behind my back. I was forced to lie down on the back seat of the squad car. I was crying. I don't recall making any statements. I did not believe that the gun had discharged. You have indicated in response to some questions presented by Mr. Phillips that you and Brent Knox left the house and went for a drive on this Sunday in question. Yes, ma'am. Could that have been Saturday? No, ma'am, it was Sunday. Are you positive it was Sunday? Yes, I am positive. Do you recall having a conversation with Brent Knox regarding some stocks and securities that your husband Tony planned to transfer into your name? I recall no such conversation with Brent. You never made that statement? That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Okay, we'll switch transcripts.
We're switching transcripts. We got 2 minutes left.
This one will start out with plaintiff attorney. Ready?
3 minutes.
On or about May 18, 2009, did you pick up a Marshall stereo sound system from Mr. Lee Barker, a Michigan State police officer? Did I pick it up? Did you pick it up? No. Did you deliver it to him? Did I deliver it to him? Yes, I did. And where did you get that Marshall stereo sound system? At the swap meet. Which swap meet are you referring to? The Lansing State Fairgrounds swap meet. Do you have a receipt for this purchase? No, I don't. Did you pay cash or did you pay by check? Cash. I used all 20s. Who was with you when you purchased it, if anyone? No one was with me. Do you have any evidence that you purchased the stereo at the Lansing State Fairgrounds swap meet? I don't think so, no. The guy was just there, you know. He was there and had some stereos, and I bought them. Did you know him? No. Did you buy any other stereos from him? I think I bought 2 or 3 stereos from the guy. What did you do with the other 2 or 3 stereos? I sold them. To whom? Just people. Can we have their names and addresses, please? I don't have their names and addresses. I am sorry. Over what period of time did you sell them? I don't know. It took me 2 months, maybe, to sell them. How much did you pay for the stereos at the swap meet? Around $100 cash for each of them.
Okay, that's it. That's it for the stream, too. I could not keep up 120, but that's to be expected. Since 100 words per minute is tough enough as it is. Okay, I'll be back tomorrow to play, to finish playing Yakuza Kiwami. Right? No, I'm gonna start Yakuza Kiwami 2 tomorrow. That's it. Okay, bye!